Top Gun, 1986, the movie that made us all feel the need for speed. But behind the jets, the leather jackets, and that unforgettable soundtrack lie 20 shocking facts you probably never knew about one of the most iconic films of the 80s. From real Navy secrets and near-fatal stunts to on-set rivalries and a sequel that took decades to take flight. This is the untold story behind Top Gun. So strap in, Maverick, because here on Rewatch Club, nostalgia is cleared for takeoff. Number 1. The script was born from a real Navy article. Believe it or not, Top Gun started with a 1983 magazine article in California magazine titled Top Guns. Writers Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr. stumbled on it, a deep dive into the Navy's elite fighter pilot school in Miramar, San Diego. The moment producer Jerry Bruckheimer saw those photos of jets cutting through the clouds, he said, "This looks like Star Wars on Earth."
Top Gun is the experience you want to have in a theater with a big audience cheering and laughing with you.
And just like that, the concept for Top Gun took off. The Navy initially hesitated, fearing it would glamorize warfare. But after some persuasion and a $1 million cooperation deal, they opened their hangars and skies. Without that single article, Top Gun might never have left the runway. Number 2. Tom Cruise wasn't the first choice. It's hard to imagine anyone else saying, "Talk to me, Goose." But Tom Cruise was far from Paramount's first pick.
Who didn't grow up wanting to fly an F-14? It's very easy falling into the role. I am dangerous.
The studio wanted Matthew Modine, but he turned it down for ethical reasons. He didn't agree with how the film portrayed the military. Other names in the cockpit lineup included Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez, and even John Travolta, who wanted the role. But his box office value had nosedived at the time. Cruise initially said no too. That changed when Bruckheimer arranged for him to ride in an actual F-14. After the jet pulled a few Gs and landed, Cruise stepped out, pale, dizzy, and said, "I'm in." That flight quite literally changed his career forever. Number 3. The stunts were so real, the Navy got nervous. Top Gun didn't use miniatures for most of its aerial scenes. Those were real Navy pilots, flying real missions, captured with custom-mounted cameras on the jets. The Navy insisted that every flight be pre-approved to avoid accidents. Even so, one pilot, Art Scholl, a legendary stunt flyer, tragically lost his life while performing an inverted spin for the movie. His plane went down in the Pacific, and the footage was never recovered.
Come on, Jesus Christ. Ice, take the shot. Come on, Ice, get the hell out of there.
The movie is dedicated to him in the closing credits. It's a haunting reminder that behind the adrenaline and spectacle, Top Gun carried a very real cost. Number 4. The Pentagon had script approval. Every line involving the military had to pass through Pentagon approval. The Department of Defense only agreed to cooperate if the film portrayed the Navy positively, which explains why Top Gun plays more like a recruitment dream than an anti-war film. In fact, after its release, Navy recruitment skyrocketed by 500%. The government even set up booths outside theaters where fans could sign up right after watching the movie. So yes, Top Gun didn't just break the sound barrier, it also filled America's cockpits. Number 5. Kelly McGillis was cast for one reason: chemistry. Producers didn't just want beauty, they wanted balance. Tom Cruise was fiery and unpredictable. They needed someone who could hold her ground and still feel authentic. Enter Kelly McGillis, who just starred in Witness with Harrison Ford. Her screen test with Cruise was so electric that the casting director said it was like watching a match strike.
The MiG-28 does have a problem with its inverted flight tanks.
Ironically, McGillis is 5 inches taller than Cruise, forcing camera operators to constantly adjust angles or have Cruise stand on small ramps during close-ups.
If I reversed on a hard cross, I could immediately go to guns on him.
Yeah, but at its speed, it's too fast.
It didn't matter. The chemistry was undeniable, and it made Charlie and Maverick's relationship one of the most iconic of the decade. Number 6. Take My Breath Away almost didn't make the cut. The song that defined an era, Take My Breath Away by Berlin, nearly got grounded. Producers originally wanted a fast-paced track for the love scene, but composer Giorgio Moroder insisted on something slow, haunting, and cinematic. When they played it over the rough cut, everyone went silent. Then Bruckheimer simply said, "That's the one." The song went on to win the Oscar for Best Original Song and cemented Top Gun's romantic core. It wasn't just a soundtrack hit, it became the heartbeat of the entire film. Number 7. Val Kilmer didn't want to be in Top Gun. Yes, Iceman himself didn't want the part. Val Kilmer was forced by contractual obligation with Paramount. He thought the script was thin and the dialogue cheesy.
You figured it out yet? What's that? Who's the best pilot?
But when he saw how seriously Cruise approached every scene, something shifted. Their on-set rivalry, half real, half acted, gave their characters a tension that electrified the screen.
No, I think I can figure that one out on my own.
I heard that about you. You like to work alone.
Kilmer later admitted that Top Gun made him a star, even if he didn't see it coming. Number 8. Tom Cruise's obsession with realism changed Hollywood. Tom Cruise didn't just act like a pilot, he trained like one. He wanted the audience to feel the G-forces, the sweat, the danger. Cruise personally convinced director Tony Scott to let him shoot inside real F-14 cockpits, even though it meant redesigning camera rigs to withstand supersonic pressure.
I feel the need for speed.
He spent weeks learning flight maneuvers with Navy instructors, absorbing their lingo and body language until he became Maverick. That dedication set a new industry standard. It's the same drive that later defined his work in Mission Impossible. And decades later, it came full circle with Top Gun, Maverick, where he performed nearly all of his own flight sequences.
For 5 weeks, you're gonna fly against the best fighter pilots in the world.
Tom Cruise didn't just want realism, he wanted immortality through authenticity. Number 9. Goose's death scene was based on a real incident. When Goose is ejected mid-flight and hits the canopy, that wasn't just screenwriting drama. It was inspired by a real-life aviation accident. During Navy testing in the early 80s, a pilot was killed when his ejection seat malfunctioned exactly the same way.
You're gonna have to punch it down. I can't reach the ejection handle. Eject! I'm trying. Eject!
The filmmakers incorporated that tragedy into the script, both to honor the risk of real pilots and to ground the film's adrenaline in human consequence. It's one of the few moments in Top Gun that hits like a gut punch, reminding viewers that behind every call sign lies fragility. Number 10. Tony Scott was nearly fired for chasing the perfect shot. Director Tony Scott was obsessed with light, specifically the golden hour. He once halted an entire day of filming just to wait for the sun to set in the exact position he wanted over the runway. Producers were furious. They threatened to shut down the day's shoot to save costs. Scott simply said, "You'll thank me when you see it." And they did. That sunset silhouette, Cruise walking beside his jet, helmet in hand, became one of the most recognizable shots in cinema history. Scott called it pure myth on film. He wasn't just directing action, he was painting nostalgia. Number 11. That volleyball scene? It was added last minute. Yes, the iconic beach volleyball scene, glistening muscles, Kenny Loggins playing with the boys, almost never happened.
An iconic scene in the original Top Gun almost got director Tony Scott fired.
It was added after test screenings revealed that audiences wanted more energy, more heat. So Tony Scott literally grabbed the cast, flew them back to the beach, and filmed it in a single afternoon. The result? One of the most famous sequences in 80s cinema, both loved and teased endlessly.
Matt, come on, Matt. Just one more game. That evens it up. Come on, we can take this game. No, we can't. We got it.
I got some things I gotta take care of.
It wasn't about volleyball. It was about male bonding, ego, and raw summer nostalgia. Number 12. Cruise and McGillis had real-life tension. On screen, Maverick and Charlie burned with chemistry. Off-screen, things were complicated. Kelly McGillis was a method actor, introspective and reserved. Tom Cruise was all intensity and control.
It's a long cruise, was it, sailor?
It was too long.
What'd you want to do, just drop right down on the tile and go for it?
Crew members described their energy as magnetic but volatile. Their professional respect was real, but the emotional connection that audiences felt came more from performance than friendship.
My folks loved it. Never heard this in years.
McGillis later said, "We brought out the best in each other because we were opposites." That dynamic gave their scenes an unpredictable spark, equal parts passion and tension that still feels authentic today. Number 13. The call signs were all based on real Navy culture. Maverick, Goose, Iceman, Slider. They sound like comic book names, but they're rooted in real naval aviator call signs. Writers interviewed pilots at Miramar who proudly explained how call signs reflected personality, sarcasm, attitude, or embarrassing mistakes. One pilot got the nickname Sneeze after ejecting mid-flight because of an allergic reaction. Another was called Lunchbox for obvious reasons. That authenticity gave Top Gun its subcultural edge. It wasn't just Hollywood fantasy. It was the secret language of a brotherhood few ever get to see. Number 14. Top Gun saved the movie industry in the mid-80s. By 1986, Hollywood was stuck between teen comedies and slow dramas. Then Top Gun hit theaters like a missile. Audiences didn't just watch it, they experienced it. The sound, the swagger, the confidence. It reignited movie-going energy at a time when box offices were slumping.
No. There's two O's in Goose, boys.
Critics were split, but audiences lined up again and again. It became the highest-grossing film of 1986, earning over $350 million worldwide, a fortune at the time. More importantly, it defined the modern blockbuster aesthetic: fast cuts, music-driven storytelling, and visual myth-making. In short, Top Gun didn't follow Hollywood trends, it created them. Number 15. The 2022 sequel was a promise kept. For years, Tom Cruise refused to make a sequel. He said, "We can't do it unless we can make it real." When Top Gun Maverick finally soared into theaters in 2022, it wasn't just a nostalgic cash grab, it was a love letter to everything that made the original legendary. Real jets, practical stunts, and emotional storytelling replaced CGI and cynicism. Cruise made it clear, this wasn't about topping the original, it was about honoring it. Audiences felt that sincerity. For many, watching Maverick take to the skies again wasn't just thrilling, it was healing. It reminded everyone why we fell in love with movies in the first place. Number 16. Maverick's flight jacket told a hidden story. Look closely at Maverick's leather jacket. It's not just a costume piece. It's a timeline of his identity. The patches stitched across the back represent his father's service, his missions, and even subtle nods to U.S. and international relations during the Cold War.
This ride's free. This e-ticket's free. I said, let's go for a run.
When Top Gun Maverick released decades later, that same jacket reappeared, carefully updated to reflect modern alliances. It wasn't just wardrobe continuity, it was cinematic ancestry, a physical link between the 1986 dreamer and the older pilot who finally understood what it meant to belong. Number 17. The ending almost looked completely different. In the original draft, Top Gun ended with Maverick walking away from flying, disillusioned, lost after Goose's death. But test audiences hated it. They wanted hope, not defeat.
Cougar, your tail is clear, MiG-1's bugged out.
So the ending was rewritten and shot weeks later, showing Maverick returning to Top Gun as an instructor, reclaiming his confidence and purpose. That decision transformed the film's message. Instead of tragedy, it became a story about redemption, brotherhood, and finding meaning in loss. And that emotional closure, especially for 1980s audiences, made Maverick not just a character, but a symbol. Number 18. The film's hidden theme, grief and control. On the surface, Top Gun looks like a celebration of speed, swagger, and adrenaline. But beneath the surface, Tony Scott quietly built a story about men grieving in silence. Maverick's entire arc revolves around guilt, over his father's mysterious death, Goose's accident, and his own reckless nature.
Goose! Oh no!
The Navy uniforms, the rituals, the rigid hierarchy, they're all metaphors for emotional control in a world that punishes vulnerability. That's why the film resonates so deeply with those who grew up in the 80s and 90s, a generation raised to idolize strength, yet haunted by loss. For many, Top Gun was the first film that said, it's okay to be brave and still be broken. Number 19. The Danger Zone was written in 20 minutes. Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone wasn't supposed to exist. The original theme song was offered to Toto, but when negotiations fell apart, Loggins was brought in at the last second. He sat down with composer Giorgio Moroder, watched a rough cut of the jet footage, and wrote the lyrics in under 20 minutes. When he hit that chorus, Highway to the Danger Zone, the room went quiet. They knew it wasn't just a song. It was a mission statement. To this day, that track remains one of the most instantly recognizable anthems of the 1980s, and the sound of pure cinematic adrenaline. Number 20. Tony Scott's final legacy. Years after Top Gun, director Tony Scott continued redefining action cinema, but he always said this was the film that defined his heart. He once called Top Gun a film about heroes who learn how to feel. It wasn't just about aircraft. It was about identity, grief, love, and letting go.
What are you doing? You're slowing down! You're slowing down! I'm bringing him in closer, Merlin. You're gonna do what?
When Top Gun Maverick released a decade after Scott's passing, the cast and crew dedicated it to him. Because without Tony's eye for beauty, motion, and emotion, there would be no myth, no Maverick, no memory. Every sunset shot, every glint off a canopy, every line of dialogue still carries his fingerprints. And that, more than anything, is why Top Gun will never fade from our skies. Nearly 40 years later, Top Gun remains more than a movie. It's a feeling, that pulse of youth, danger, and impossible dreams. It gave us icons, heartbreaks, and the eternal lesson that the sky isn't the limit. It's an invitation. And when Top Gun Maverick brought it all back, A new generation got to feel what we did in '86, that rush of heart, freedom, and fire. So, tell us in the comments, which moment from Top Gun still gives you chills? Is it Goose's laugh, Maverick's comeback, or that first blast of Danger Zone? And if you live for nostalgia like this, join RewatchClub, where every classic takes off again. Hit that subscribe button like if you felt the need for speed, and comment your favorite 80s movie below. Maybe it'll be the next deep dive we do right here, because legends don't fade, they just fly higher. This is RewatchClub, signing off.